In those days, and even later, there were giants on the earth. Genesis 6. The Amorites, men who were as tall as cedar trees and as strong as oaks. The Book of Amos.
G'day. Welcome to a beautiful Sunday morning. The Sabbath, if you will. Let's read from a good book. The Good News Bible, Australian edition. Shouldn't there be a kangaroo on the front if it's the Australian edition? Hey, Jesus came to America in the Book of Mormon. But anyway, I digress. This was my school Bible. If I ever become president, it's the one I'm going to swear on. There's some good stuff in here. Like giants. Do you know there's many giants in the Bible? I don't mean like philosophers or great men or women. I mean actual, literal giants. Let's try to find out how many are in the Bible and what their names are.
A long time ago now, maybe back in the 13th century BC, after the events of the 10 Commandments, when Moses led his people out of Egypt, he sent 12 spies out on a scouting mission into the land of Canaan, present-day Israel, and the Israelites' promised land, but it was already occupied. Here there be giants. In Numbers 13, the spies report back that they explored the land and found it to be rich and fertile. But the people who lived there are powerful. We saw the descendants of the giants there. In verse 33, and we even saw giants there, the descendants of Anak. We felt as small as grasshoppers, and that is how we must have looked to them. And in Deuteronomy they said, the people there are stronger and taller than we are, and they live in cities with walls that reach the sky. They saw giants there. Real Jack and the Beanstalk stuff. Amazing. The Israelites didn't enter Canaan then. They moved on to the region of Bashan. And there they encountered the dreaded King Og. In Numbers 21, so the Israelites killed Og, his sons, and all of his people, leaving no survivors. And in Deuteronomy 3, we find out just how tall King Og was. In verse 11, he was the last of the Rephaim. His bed, made of iron, was 4 meters long, 13 feet long, and almost 2 meters wide, 6 feet wide, according to standard measurements. It can still be seen in the Ammonite city of Rabbah, it claims. But Og was not the last giant. In about 300 years after, we get our next biblical giant, and it's its most well-known one, Goliath. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 4, a man named Goliath from the city of Gath came out from the Philistine camp to challenge the Israelites. I dare you to pick someone to fight me. David from Bethlehem, who was just a shepherd boy, told the Israelites that he has killed lions and bears, and he will do the same to the heathen Palestine, Goliath. David wore no armor, carried no weapons, but his slingshot and 5 smooth stones from the stream in the Elah valley. Goliath called down curses from his God on David. David answered, "You are coming against me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." He put his hand into his bag and took out a stone, which he slung at Goliath. It hit him on his forehead and broke his skull, and Goliath fell face downwards on the ground. So that was it for Goliath from Gath. There are 5 giants in the Bible from Gath. Gath has been found through archaeology. The ruins of huge building blocks seem to suggest a giant city near the valley of Elah, where the David versus Goliath battle took place. In 1 Samuel chapter 21, verse 10, David went alone to Gath, but was recognized as the giant killer. So David pretended to be insane, acting like a madman, scribbling on the city gates and dribbling down his beard. So they doubted him being the mighty David and left him alone, allowing David to escape. If they find the ruins of the gates of Gath, could archaeologists find the scribbles of David? Or even his dribble and sequence his DNA? I guess anything's possible, especially if you read this book. David and the Israelites battled more giants in 2 Samuel chapter 21. A giant named Ishbibenob and another named Saph. And even Goliath, again, killed by someone else. Or did they? But no, it turns out to be Goliath's brother, Lami, when we read 1 Chronicles. I guess there was a typo in the Bible. And finally, the battle at Gath with a giant who loved to fight. He had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, but his extra digits were no match for the Lord. I remember being 12 years old in Mr. Pegg's biblical studies class, reading these accounts with excitement and maybe some disbelief. The Bible was being presented as a true story, and yet there were giants stomping around on the same world that we live on so long ago. Looking out the window now and imagining colossal beings. It's as plausible as all the other miracles in the Bible. And some would even say that, they weren't really giants, maybe just 8 feet, 9 feet tall. But who knows? There's other extraordinary things in Scripture too, like the mighty Behemoth in Job, which must have been a dinosaur, with a massive tail that sways like a cedar. It is at home even in a flooded, raging river. In Genesis, it is said that God created all the animals on the same day as man. So dinosaurs too, I guess. And if you believe any of this at all, you, me, and the giants are all descended from Adam and Eve. We're the same. Well, not the giants, who are said to be descendants of the Nephilim, offsprings of a union between fallen angels or demons and human women. Modern interpretations suggest extraterrestrials. I want to believe, as Mulder says. So, food for thought. Thank you for listening.
I must do the will of God.